Hey everyone, this is Jamie Pate, and today I have a process video of this, what I call a pocket mini album. And I am super excited to share this with you. It's a pretty basic album, actually. You're going to enjoy seeing how this unfolds and how you will easily be able to make this with all kinds of different collections. So let's get started with what this looks like. First of all, I want to just walk you through this mini album that is made with the Heidi Swapp Honey and Spice collection. So you can see this cover, it's a little beaten up, and I have fixed this over here in the new version that I'll be making with you guys today. But the cover is sort of a gatefold. This opens here on the right side. I have this large ephemera flower that is hot glued down, so this can just tuck right underneath. And then the pocket part comes from, well, you open this up and you have a pocket. And then what pulls out of the pocket is your mini album. So what's kind of fun about the pocket is that I just have these extra photos in here that I just like having in here. They didn't necessarily go in the book, and I already had them printed up. So now they're just gonna be part of the pocket part. So when you get inside of this mini album, if you're familiar with the back-to-back binding process, that's basically what we're going to be doing today. As you can see here, I have added this fussy cut floral piece, and it moves. It's a separate piece of pattern paper. And then when you open this up, it's kind of weird. I open it to the back first. You don't have to, it's just my way. But I open to the back first, and I basically look at my mini album in this direction. And that's pretty much how we're going to be building this mini album. So all these parts in here are back-to-back binding, actually including this here. When this piece gets adhered to the main book itself, you're going to see how that anchors it all in. And this is actually the other side of this paper. So just hang in there and I'll show you how that unfolds. But first, let's talk about a couple things you're going to need. Okay, so as far as basic tools and supplies, of course, you're going to need photos. I've already pre-printed mine. These are about 3x4, and I'm probably going to actually end up matting them against a white mat. So just keep that in mind. Then you're going to need just some basic supplies that you're already going to have, like a trimmer and a score tool, a distress tool. Also going to need a circle punch. This is about 1.5 inches here. And then you're going to need a sander or a distress tool, whatever you prefer. Adhesive. I'm also going to use this double-sided tape adhesive for the book part. It's just a stronger adhesive, and I prefer that. And I will link these supplies down below so you can take a look at my favorites. You're going to need some black ink. You're going to need a corner rounder. Of course, with the ink, you're going to need a stamp block. And then let's talk about what kind of supplies you're going to need from the Honey and Spice. Okay, as we construct this book, I'm going to be using about 5 pieces of back-to-back pattern paper. And I haven't quite decided the sequence that this is all going to fit into the album. The book only goes 6.5 inches tall, so if you have scraps of paper, that would be ideal. The other piece you're gonna need is, in the Honey and Spice, it's called Wallflower. And you can see this great floral pattern that's just on the edge, and I am going to be cutting that out, fussy cutting it. So that's just an idea of what you're gonna need. Along with pattern paper, I have a pretty good selection here of the Honey and Spice ephemera, plus the tag. The package of tags are in here as well. You're going to need some twine to help close your book. Well, I'm always using the washi tape, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that. These thickers are some of my favorite. I just love this black. And then you might want to have handy the 12x12 cardstock stickers. One more thing I'm going to want you to have handy is just a piece of scrap white cardstock. This is going to be for the construction of the pocket, and so you're just going to want to make sure you have that. It needs to be at least 3 inches wide. Okay, so I have decided, you can see here, I've used the stripe, and I just love the stripe so much, and then I just love this pattern so much. I'm going to make our pocket out of this same pattern paper. So the rest of the inside of the book is probably, more than likely, going to look a little different than this first book that I made. You can obviously have your own. Make your own decision on what you want your patterns to look like. For the main pocket and the cover of this mini album, you're going to need to have this trimmed down to 12 inches wide by 7 inches tall. I told you the mini album is 6.5 inches tall. Well, the pocket needs to be a little bigger to hold that in place. So cut that down 12 by 7. Once you have this cut down 12 by 7, starting from this left side, and it doesn't matter, except just however you want your front cover to be, and just be mindful of what your stripes are going to look like when you put this together. I probably should have paid more attention, had my pinks in there, but I'm okay with it. I'm going to make this one work here. So what I'm going to do, I want my fold to start here on this left side. So I'm going to measure 3 inches from the edge, and I use my trimmer. If you've watched my videos before, you've seen me do this. I'm going to score at 3 inches, and then I'm going to move it over about 1/8 inch, maybe even a little closer to 1/4 inch, and give it one more fold, or score rather. Okay, so I folded that down. You can see I have a little bit of an edge here because there's about 1/8 to 1/4 inch there in between these two folds. The main middle part of the album I want to be 6 3/4. I'm just going to verify that with my other album here to make sure that is my measurement. No, it's not. So I'm glad I looked. Let's go inside here and look. So actually I want this inside to be 5 3/4. I'm glad I checked that. I'm just going to measure my last fold here at 5 3/4 and then make my fold over here. Let's see where we're at. All right, at this point, the album looks like a gatefold, right? But as we get this pocket in place and then having our, whatever we decide our ephemera is going to be here, this is going to tuck underneath and it's going to stay closed. So this is where your little extra scrappy piece comes in. I already have this 3 inches wide. What I need to do now is come in and score this at 1/4 inch. That is going to be about 1/8 inch here in between. And then at the next 1/4 inch, you can go ahead and trim that off. Now this piece could be a little bigger. I just don't want it to get in the way of when I am putting the mini album in and out of the pocket. So I just wanted to keep these pieces pretty small. So make one more of these. All right, so I have 2 of these, I don't even know what to call these, I guess like pocket adapters. And you see how they're going to fit right there? So add your double-sided adhesive on this portion and on this portion of both of these. This is going to sit in here like this. This one sits at the bottom. Then what is going to happen is this folds over and it's going to adhere and you're going to have a space in between. Okay, so this can get a little tricky. So just be patient with yourself. I have the first part of these attached. I'm going to take off the backer paper to both of them and just to the best of my ability, keep these folded in place and then fold over this part of the album so the pocket is made. Just kind of fiddle with it. Make sure your folds are as straight as they can be. Make sure your little adapter piece is as good as inside as it can be. And remember, it's only paper. If you need to go back and try it again, kind of work out some of the kinks, then do that. I'm going to kind of test this here just for all of our sakes to see, yep, how that goes in there really nice. Okay, so far, guys, we have the pocket portion of this mini album is ready to go. And if you'd like at this time, you can go ahead and distress your edges or sand your edges and just kind of rough them up a little bit. But we're going to set this aside. And what we're going to make next is this main portion of the mini album. So basically kind of the cover, if you will. Okay, for the outside of our mini album, cut your pattern paper so that it's 6.5 inches tall, tall. Obviously your pattern facing you in this orientation. And then for the width, it's going to be 9 1/4 wide. Okay, go ahead and trim that edge off there. Then on this left side, we're going to come in at 4 inches to create our score and fold. So 4 inches, fold, and give yourself a nice score there. Okay. Then go ahead and take your corner rounder, and I use the 1/2 inch edge and go ahead and round your corners. You're probably gonna need to come back and do this again. Okay, so this is the outside of your paper, right? Now we need to craft this inside. Remember how I went backwards in my book? Well, I'm here now and I build the book backwards. So let's make a decision on what this pattern paper here is going to be, and then cut it 6.5 inches tall and 7 3/4 wide. So pick that paper and then we'll get to trimming. This is the pattern that I chose. I've now cut it to be 7 3/4 wide and 6.5 inches tall. And what I'm going to do here is fold it, score and fold it on 2.5. And I'm just going to make sure my measurement on that's right, because basically this fold needs to be the same as this fold. So let's just verify our measurement here, and I'm going to change the rules on you guys a little bit. I'm going to have you go in at 5 1/4 and score that, then we'll fold and you'll see how it's going to fit inside. 5 1/4, folding at your score, and then this needs to fit in here just like that, and we'll need to go back and round our corners. So this back is going to attach to right here. So, okay, grab your roller adhesive and add around this edge, and then we're going to lay our other piece right on top here, making sure our folds match. So I like to go in here and match my folds up. And then I like to close this other piece, because then I know everything is going to fit right when I fold it. And you might need to go and trim some edges up. That is something I always have to do. My measurements are not perfect and my placement is never perfect. So sometimes I have to go in and just trim some edges up, and that's fine. Isn't that pretty already? I like to go in and just see what my colors and my patterns are looking like so far, and I'm really loving how this is looking. And so I'm going to clean up my corner here a little bit, and then we're going to decide on our next inside paper. Let's refer again back to this one that's already completed. So we have this in place, and now we're going to need to make a decision on what this pattern paper right here is going to look like. Okay, I've decided on my next pattern paper. I've already trimmed it to be 6.5 inches tall, and now I have trimmed it to be 5 3/4 inches wide. And remember where we need our fold to be? Nope, it's not going to be there this time, because this does not fold exactly like that. Let me show you what we're working with here. We're working with this paper right here. So I am going to want to fold this at 3 1/4 inches here. Let me measure that to verify where I'm at on that. And that's just right about 3 1/2 inches. I'm going to go in here. Did I say 3 1/2 or 3 1/4? Let me verify. 3 1/4. Let's do 3 1/4 right here. And after you have the score, same thing, we're folding. Okay, so you can see how beautiful that goes against the pattern so far. So I'm going to attach this short edge to this edge right here. This is the back side of this first page. And these pieces of paper here are going to be bound together. This is that back-to-back binding I referred to at the beginning of this video. And again, same thing, I like to match my folds up more than the paper, because I want to make sure everything's going to fold real nice. And then I just sandwich it all together and I go back and look, and I'm pretty happy with this. At this point, let's go ahead and add in our half cut. I just like to have that little peekaboo space. So I'm just going to come in here about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch from the bottom. All right, we are looking good here. The next part of our book is going to be bound to the back of this, and it's going to be right here. Okay, I picked out the next pattern for my mini album, and remember, 6.5 inches tall. That's how tall our mini album is. And then come in here at 6 1/4 wide. Then when that is trimmed, you are going to fold this at 2 3/4. So get that snuggled up there to 2 3/4. Give yourself a nice score, and then fold this. And we will back-to-back bind this to our page here. There we go. This is going to attach to this inside, and I have made it a little wide. And I told you, measurements are not perfect, and paper can be trimmed up. So that's all we're going to do here, is do as we've done before, line up the folds make sure paper's lined up as best as it can be, and then fold it so everything lines up in place. And we're going to go back and just trim that extra piece off. Now, if you have chosen a pattern that you, and I'll show you what I mean here. If you've chosen a pattern that you really like to show through on this side, by all means keep it. I'm not a fan of how that is showing up, so I am going to go ahead and just run it through my trimmer and trim that up. Okay, we have our little mini album, guys. Back-to-back binding, some beautiful patterns inside. And that is how that album is going to come together. So the next portion of this video, we're going to be embellishing our mini album. As I'm adding the embellishments, I've taken a piece of ephemera and added it with hot glue. Hot glue I think is really important because you need this to be very adhered very well, because you're going to be having a whole flap that sits underneath it. And while you can see when it lays flat that we still got a little bit of a bounce here, remember we're going to be adding a piece of twine with some other embellishments and tags hanging from it, so that will help keep that closed. When you open it up, I added one of the embossed tags to the inside. I distressed the sides, the edges, and added some twine, and kind of sticks up a little bit here at the top, which I kind of like. I love the sticky out parts. If you follow any of my projects on here, you know I'm all about the sticky out parts. So that's a sticky out part to me. And so far, this is what we have going for the pocket portion of the mini album. And I just finished fussy cutting. This is from this pattern paper here. Beautiful paper. I just love these gorgeous large florals on the side. But of course, I want to go and I want to fussy cut them up. So I did. And this is going to be attached to the cover of the actual mini book itself. But you need to come in here and let's turn this upside down, because I need to get about 1/4 of an inch of a score, and we're going to fold it because this is going to fold around the binding of the book a little bit, and you'll see what I mean here. So get that scored and then fold along your score again. Been doing this a lot in this project, so this is not new to you, because I want this to be kind of loose and ethereal, if you will, to add to this front page and to the texture here. So what's going to happen here is I think I'm going to add, trying to decide what I'm going to add. I think I'll add this double sticky tape here. Needs to be an 1/8 inch, and I have some of that on order. And I will also link that down below, because I love the 1/8 inch for just these kind of projects right here, because you don't have to worry about the adhesive hanging over. Everything is self-contained because of how slim that 1/8 inch is. So just a note to self, and then we will attach this to the front of the book. So again, kind of have your fold, kind of hold it in your hand in such a way that it's folded, so you can just sit that right inside of that fold, not completely up against the fold, because you're going to want it to wrap around a little bit. And this is going to be a little floppy to start, but this, remember, sits inside our pocket in here. So over time, this flattens out very nicely. And so don't worry about if you've got some flop going on. Love my terminology here. It is going to work out just fine for you. So that is, I'm not going to add anything else to this cover. I love that so much, just like it is. So basically, the pocket and our front cover is done. I'm going to start by adding in basically the title of this album, which is My Daughter's Prom. So using these thickers in black that are part of the Honey and Spice collection, I'm just going to start with my end where I know I want it to end, and add in the words and letters. So that is what's going to happen here. Once this title is in place, then I know where the rest of my embellishments are going to live. So happy how that looks. I'm going to open this up, going to add some washi to the side edge here. I love how easily these little smaller pages go together. So we have a matted photo here, and I added in the thickers for my main title, and this shows through here when this part of the album is closed. I added in this floral piece here to the top, so just some more additional sticky out pieces, and I'm just realizing right now I might not be able to go that high because of the pocket. No, it's good. We're good. That's about as high as I can go. So just be mindful of that, that you can add some additional pieces up above your pages a little bit. You've got some room there. And then some washi tape is in play here, as well as one of the stickers from the 12 by 12 cardstock stickers. And I added in some stamp work right here. So this page is pretty much done because right here is a great space for journaling. And so I'm going to keep that open just for the journaling. So on to this next page. Okay, for this next page, I have gone ahead and added in my photo. I used some scrap paper. I cut it about 3/4 inch wide, and I notched it and I wrapped it around the page there. And I've taken this label. It's from the 12 by 12 sticker pack, and I backed it on cardstock. If you follow me at all, you know this is kind of one of my go-to little techniques. Let's say that right. It is just a way to give me a chance to know where I'm going to place an element without having to go ahead and adhere it down with the sticker portion of the back right away. So I'm just going to set that here, and I've used hot glue, and this is another reason I like to back these with cardstock, is there's sort of a floating element that's happening here because it's not adhered flat to the page. And so that's one aspect that I like a lot. And I'm going to do the same thing with this ephemera. It doesn't have a sticky back, but I'm just going to add a bit of hot glue right to the back of it. And it's also going to layer over the sticker a bit. And I'm going to still have that sort of floaty effect. Now what I've done while I'm letting that dry for a bit is I've pre-cut several die cuts from the pattern paper from Honey and Spice. And this die is included in the links below this video. And I'm just going to tuck some of these in here. And again, using hot glue, so I only have to add a little bit of glue just to the stem and put it in place, and it's going to be adhered really well, but still sort of float on this page. So I think that is super pretty how that played out. And so again, we are done with this page. All right, guys, so notice here on this, so we finish this page and we flip over to here, and notice this, I've done the same thing. I have this die cut from the pattern paper. I've layered it with label from 12 by 12 cardstock stickers and another word sticker. I took a piece of pattern paper that we've used here on our book today, and I just folded it in half, made a real small notch, real shallow notch, I should say, right here. Just folded it over and stapled it, added another cardstock sticker, added some ephemera, and that just brings that page together. Okay, on this last page, I've decided to keep it super simple. It's such a beautiful picture for me anyway. We got a lot going on here with the pattern right here. I'm going to finish, I've added a big part of this die cut right here. And I was going to finish with this I Adore You sticker. That's also from the cardstock stickers. This is what I like to do. I like to back up my stickers to cardstock. And then I'm going to add in a pop dot so that this pops up off the page. And this photo is beautiful on its own. So I just added a pop dot there to the back. And I'm just going to kind of lay that over so you can get an idea of what that looks like. We've got a lot of floating elements right here. And don't be surprised if you come back when you look at this on my blog and I have some up-close pictures. I might have covered this pattern paper. We'll see how that works out. But this is a look now at how this book has come together. We're just going to slip it right back inside of its pocket. You're going to see all its elements kind of stick out here. We've got a lot of dimension here now to this book. So on the blog, I will show you how this is finished off with the twine. And you can see here it's going to flap right behind this pretty ephemera die cut, and you open it up and there is your album. And you know, if you do it my way, you're going to open it up from the back and just follow along with the story that's unfolding on these pages here. So thank you so much for spending time with me and watching this process video. I enjoyed making this mini album for you, and I would love to hear if there's any other kind of projects you'd love to see here on this channel. I'm super open to showing you what, even if it's a past project, let me know. Just leave me a comment down below, and all the supplies are linked below. And I appreciate if you would give me a thumbs up, as well as if you're not already a subscriber. I would love for you to be part of this community and this channel. So I'll see you next time. Thanks again.